All right, folks, real quick, I want to talk just a little bit about saving money at savewithconrad.com. Take a look at this chart if you're watching with me over on YouTube. This is the U.S. consumer percent of balance plus 90 days delinquent on credit cards. Here's what we're talking about. America's in more credit card debt than ever before, but we're also more delinquent than ever before. And if that's you, I want you to know there is still help out there. I'm especially talking to you if you have your bank account drafting your mortgage payment. So if your mortgage payment is just set to automatically draft out of your account, you may not realize it, but boy, you're in good shape for a refinance. And I know what you're thinking. You may say to yourself, I don't think I can refinance. I've got lates on my credit because of my credit cards. I'm woefully behind. What mortgage carriers are caring about more and more, I'm talking specifically about Fannie and Freddie, are how you've paid your housing history. Already this year, I've helped families with credit scores in the 530s and 540s get a great Fannie Mae refinance to bail them out of all their high interest rate credit card debt. The average interest rate on credit cards right now is around 22%. You know you can do better than that. There's no getting ahead at that. You've got to find a solution. I really want you to think about what happens and what changes if I do nothing. And I think you'll realize, man, I got a problem. And the best time to tackle that problem is right now. Hurry on over to savewithconrad.com. Get yourself a quick quote. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket. And if we can't save you some cash, we won't waste your time. But I want you to hear this loud and clear. If you're behind on your credit cards, if you're maxed out, if you're over the limit, if you feel like there's no hope, but you've made your house payments on time for the last year. And when I say on time, I don't mean like you were a day or two late. I mean like you were never more than 30 days late. It's not a matter of if I can save you money, but a matter of how much. And to my surprise, some of the folks we've helped do this, even with less than perfect credit scores, they didn't even need an appraisal. What we were able to provide to them was a fast and easy solution to the cash crunch their household was feeling. If you feel like there's more month at the end of the money, let me put that thing down, flip it and reverse it. You need more money at the end of the month, and savewithconrad.com can help. Send me an email personally, Conrad at savewithconrad.com. Give us a call toll free at 888-425-0105, or just go right now to savewithconrad.com. Set up the convenient time for us to get together and chat. And if you've got your mortgage statement with you currently, we will find a way to save you a boatload of cash. I woke up to a great email this morning that was thanking us for helping them not only get a better interest rate on their debt and get a much cheaper monthly payment, but we were also able to help them find cheaper homeowners insurance. Now, to be clear, I'm not in the insurance business, but I can take a look at what you're paying and say, you know what? I've seen enough of these to think you need to get another quote. We're routinely helping some of our listeners save more than $1,000 a month. And how about this for starters? No house payments for 2 months. You won't make a payment in March or in April. You're done until May 1st. And come May 1st, you're going to be saving a boatload of cash. Go right now. Find out how much money you can save for free at savewithconrad.com. NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender, savewithconrad.com.
Welcome to Something to Wrestle With.
Something to wrestle with.
Bruce Prichard.
Well, you know.
That's not a rib.
No, yeah, but me.
There's no box of gimmicks.
Rumor and innuendo.
I don't deal in rumor and innuendo. And was he there? I was there. I don't give a shit.
Welcome to Something to Wrestle With.
Something to wrestle
Something to wrestle with.
Something to wrestle with.
Dig it.
Bruce Prichard. Hey, it's Conrad, the mortgage guy, and you're listening to Something to Wrestle With. Bruce Prichard. Bruce, what's going on, man? How are you?
That's me. You know what always freaks me out? How we were able to get Randy Savage to actually say, yeah, something to wrestle with, Bruce Prichard, huh? Sounds, I mean, it's him.
Did you phone a friend? How did you make that happen? I mean, I know that you, as Brother Love, have connections to the afterlife. I mean, hell, you're friends with the Undertaker. So do you have to call collect, or how does that work?
No, man, it's just a call out in general. It's a Mach, where you at? Yeah. What the fuck you want? Yeah. We're here. Okay, yeah. Thinking, yeah. But you got to admit, that one will take you out of it for a minute. As you listen to that. And I do it every time. I freak out. I think that's, actually Randy Savage. And for all I know, it may be. I didn't edit it.
So what you're saying is you're so talented, you scare yourself.
I am so freaking talented, I scare the shit out of myself.
You surprise you all the time, don't you?
I surprise the shit out of me all the time. All the time.
I know that this is going to be hard, but
not yet, but
it might be in a little while, thanks to Blue Chew. Can we agree that Dan Soder actually has the best Randy Savage impression of all?
Randy, yeah, he does a great one.
It's got to be like, I think his is almost uncanny. It's so close.
Yeah, I get lost in his too, without a doubt. When I did the Macho Off and with the two of us talking to each other as Macho Man, I just tapped.
Yeah,
I got nothing. I'm sorry. Yours is better. Can't deny it. Won't deny it.
Shout out to Dan Soder, who's got a fabulous podcast you should check out these days. And he may be coming to do comedy in a town near you. You are going to laugh. He is one of the funniest men doing his thing these days.
He is
You've
awesome.
seen Dan several times in person, haven't you?
I have. Tremendous comic. Of course, he was in the critically acclaimed Billions on Showtime. And I love that show. And for the longest time, Dan was helping us here with the podcast and helping me kind of navigate the waters of the live theater venues and what have you. And, we were friends. We talked, but yet I knew he had a podcast. I knew he was a comedian. However, I did not know that he was my fee on Billions, show that you and I watched like every friggin' week. And then one day it was like, wait a minute, they got a wrestling connection there somehow, some way. And then that wrestling connection was actually Dan Soder, who was a big fan that they actually would write in and do different things. And the creators of that show, also huge wrestling fans, and Dan being the benefactor of their fandom and his fandom. So shout out to Dan and love you and miss you and all that good stuff.
Well,
yeah,
we miss
Soder's
you
awesome.
too, Bruce. We're glad that you're back. We're having a lot of fun. As we're recording this, we know that you and I most recently talked about your return to WWE. And you felt like at a certain point, hey, we should cut it here because this story deserves a part 2. And I could just dive in at any point. But is there any one point in particular you'd like to pick up where we left off our last conversation about your return in 2019?
My God, Conrad, I don't remember what I did yesterday.
Okay, well, here's what I wanted to talk about, because there was a rumor in the window that, when you first came back, you were sort of observing. And I drew the parallels at the end of last week's episode where we were talking about, you kind of did that when you first went to work for Vince in 1987.
Look, it's Andre. I'm Andre. Normal size can, big hand. I like Pepsi. Okay, I'm sorry.
Today's episode brought to you by Coca-Cola. Bruce was totally kidding. Not really.
However, if you're listening, we will. Yeah, I'll drink. They make little Cokes too. My God.
Chat me up about going back in 2019. You're sort of figuring out how the business has changed and what's different from when you left, but you don't exactly have a specific role. I know it's sort of painted with a broad stroke of, hey, he's going to be Vince's right-hand man, whatever that means in the Observer. Did you have an official title when you first started, and what the hell did that mean you actually did day to day?
Okay, well, my official title was Senior Vice President, and it ended there. The Dave Meltzer right-hand man to Vince, no, that's just his making up things and perception and what have you. As we had talked about, you and I had talked about, was coming in and helping with the conventions and trying to take their fan interaction to another level and be able to exploit that and be able to bring experiences to the WWE fan that you'd kind of like done with StarCast and create new experiences for them so that they could capitalize on them. And now it's in the hands of fanatics, and they do an excellent job with it as well. But it was something that we internally wanted to take over and grow. In addition to that, look, I wrote television, produced television for umpteen years, over 45 years, 50 years, whatever the hell it's been. Not 50 years, but 40 years at least. And the opportunity to come in and be able to help out where I could, well, look, that was definitely on Vince's plate. And if you were to ask anybody there, I think that they all saw, oh yeah, he's bringing Bruce back, and they're going to, have Bruce be instrumental in the television production and creative and what have you. I was game for all of it, but I didn't want to, at the time, be day to day in that creative process and in the everyday grind, if you will. I wanted to do other things, and you try those things, and COVID hit, and that completely changed our plan for the fan access and what have you. But look, there's an opportunity there, and while the world around us was shutting down, we were still going. We were still producing live television every week, and he needed someone that could take a negative and take the venues and the opportunities that we did have, make the most out of it. So it was an opportunity for me to help out there, and so I pretty much focused on television.
All right, guys, by now we all know that Ginger is most definitely the official dog of Something to Wrestle. I won't hear of any of those nothing happening dogs in Connecticut taking the top spot. We all feel that way about our dogs. We love them. We want to give them the best life possible. But I'll admit, I had a blind spot. I just thought Ginger liked to scratch her ears and chew her claws. Nope. Turns out those are not normal dog behaviors. Man, they're actually signs of allergies. And it turns out allergies in dogs flare up when the bad bacteria takes over the gut. I guess like 90% of their immune system lives in the gut. I didn't know this, but just like us humans, dogs need probiotics, or good bacteria, to strengthen their gut health and calm their overactive immune system. That's why the wife and I started using Better Wild Allergy Relief Soft Chews for our pups. This is a supplement that was designed to support your pet's allergy defense system by strengthening their digestion. It turns out this is actually from our dog's mighty ancestor, the wolf. These are the first and only chews that have the ancestral advantage wolf probiotics. Not only that, we've also got L-Sakii, which is a postbiotic that's derived from kimchi. How about colostrum? That's going to boost the immune function and fight off inflammation. Even a little salmon oil to support healthy skin and fur. If you love your dogs, you got to grab some Better Wild. Your dogs will feel the difference. They'll see the difference. I'm happy to say we've been doing this for about 2 months with Ginge. No more scratching, no more itching, no more chomping. Better Wild is committed to helping your dogs with science-backed, veterinarian-approved solutions that you can really feel great about. I want you to go check it out. And right now, Better Wild is offering our listeners up to 40% off your order at betterwild.com/wrestle. That's betterwild.com/wrestle for up to 40% off your order. betterwild.com/wrestle. We're going to talk about the pandemic shortly, but I want to talk about 2019 because I know it's made official that you're going back in February, but by July, is that right? Or is it May? At some point, Eric Bischoff gets the nod, and there's going to be an announcement made that, one fellow is going to run Raw and one fellow is going to run SmackDown. And that's going to be Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. These were two names who, if you think back to, I guess we'd call it the Attitude Era boom, the Monday Night War era, one fellow is running WCW, another is running ECW, and now they're both going to be running separate shows for WWE. And this is all going to sort of culminate with the upcoming debut of SmackDown on Fox. And there's a narrative out there, and I think it was reported by Dave Meltzer, that it was actually you who suggested Eric Bischoff for that position. How does Eric get involved in the mix here?
Well, look, Eric was looking for something to do, and Eric asked me,
if there was anything for him to do here. And all I did was open the door for Vince and Eric to have discussions and for them to talk. In the midst of all of this, the idea of being, going live on Monday and then live on Friday, that was going to shake up the very foundation of how we produce television, because we had been doing it Monday to Tuesday. So Monday night was Raw, Tuesday night was SmackDown. And in doing so, there needed to be less overlap and less all hands on deck. We needed separate teams, just by virtue of the way that television was going to change how it was written and how it was produced. So the folks at Fox wanted to have a point person. They wanted to have a point person on creative that they could talk to and that they could discuss ideas with, and that could help guide them as to what's coming, what they can look forward to as far as promotions and things of that nature. So that was the germ of it. But all I did was say, hey, Eric Bischoff's looking for something to do. Would you be willing to talk to him? The answer was yes. They talked. And that's, that was Vince's decision. But it was, did I have input in it? I had input by putting them together. Did I discuss with Vince how the tapings could work and how we could create two, completely separate teams? Yeah, we discussed it, but it was his call, and it was born out of the Fox folks really wanting to have someone specific. And then Chris McCumber on the NBC side, NBCU, he wanted the same thing. So there was an opportunity there to create. Look, the position was created out of air. It was okay. We have this person. What are they? They're not the executive producer. All right. And what are they? They are in charge of the creative team for the respective shows, and there'll be an executive director. So that's how the title came about. In reality, they were executive vice presidents and executive directors. So that was the germ of it. When you go back and you look at even in the beginning, we touched on in general which I'm going backwards now to when I first came back, because we touched on last time doing the Las Vegas Starcast and everything, and Vince allowing me to go and do that and what have you. But the agreement coming in was that I was to keep everything, and I was also adamant, man. I was ready to cancel everything, as you know. I was like, hey man, I'm not going to do all this stuff. And in discussing it with Vince, I was willing to, hey, look, I'll be all in here. We'll do this. And he says, no, you need to honor all your commitments. And I said, well, it's going to take me away from this at certain times, because I had an Australian tour that I had on the books. We had, I think we had one other live show, but we had the live show with JR after WrestleMania, the Monday Night Raw post WrestleMania, which we did. So there was Starcast, but I also had convention appearances. Funny story, at one of the convention appearances, it was like an 80s con or something like that. And I'm sitting at the table, and like I always do, I leave my phone open like this and on silent, but I try to look. There's oftentimes that I close it when I just don't want to see. But normally I would have it open just because if I'm out of town, something happens at home and I need to attend to it. But there's a line, big line too, wrapped around the building, I think 7 or 8 times. There were rafters. There were people jumping up on the rafters, hanging from them. It was the SRO signs went out early for that one, let me tell you. But I got a call during the convention. and pops up Vince McMahon. And the first few people in line that are at the table, they see it. They go, "Oh my God, is that really him?" And they turn around to the line. They go, "Vince McMahon's calling him right now." And people are like cheering, "Oh my God, answer it, answer it." And I'm in a quandary because I should be doing this signing. He knew I was doing the signing, didn't know what time. But so I answered it. People are cheering and all this stuff. And I walk behind the curtain. And this is where I'll hit you with one now. Vince says, "Hey, tell me about this guy, Conrad Thompson." It is. I said, "Yeah." He's my partner in the podcast, and he says, "Well, he contacted my brother."
Yeah.
I said, "Why did he contact your brother?" He says, "Wants him to come and do a signing." He says, Rod, his brother Rod, who has since passed. Rod was a great guy, man, just cool as shit. And he just didn't know. He had no idea about why you were calling or what a fan fest or fan convention even was. And I had called Vince, and he says, "No, I don't want to do this." He goes, I'm not in the business, didn't want to do it. He says, what's he, what's he looking for? Can we get him anything? Rod, I don't know what Rod's going to do for him as far as selling anything. And that was a funny break in the day that it was like, all right, what the hell were you thinking?
What was I thinking?
You.
Are you asking me what I was thinking?
I'm asking you.
If you'll recall, I had booked The Undertaker and a signed contract and approved graphic and paid a deposit.
Okay, now I remember, yeah.
And I had also booked Kurt Angle, and WWE pulled them both.
Yeah.
And WWE, aka Mark Carrano, suggested that he would get me a suitable replacement and asked me what my wish list was.
Yeah.
And I asked, and that was denied. And then I was offered nothing. So I thought, okay. So I tried to book Kurt Angle's brother and Vince McMahon's brother. And
oh, nice. Okay. See, you never told me that.
I thought we'd have some fun.
Yeah. All right.
But I remember I was in Charlotte and I got a call. It was a voicemail from you that said, "Call me." And I could just tell it was your daddy voice. It was like a voicemail you would leave Amber or Kane. So I call you back and you go, "Do you got anything you want to tell me?" But to my surprise, I don't think it pissed the old man off. He actually
laughed at it.
It went the other way. Yeah.
He thought it was creative as hell.
Yes.
And appreciated the whole thing. And yeah, and obviously he was unaware of the whole Undertaker and all that other stuff. He was unaware of that. But he just thought it was creative as hell. And it was a funny moment in a chaotic day. And I'm like, you could have smartened me up. Just, hey, I'm gonna reach out. It's like I would have given you Rod's number.
Well, I sent him an email, and it was a professional, polite email.
Yeah. Yes, it was. It was read to me.
And I think the comment you said was, Vince said it was compelling and well written.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'm not in that much trouble then. There you go.
No, you weren't in any trouble.
Yeah.
It was just it was a what the fuck moment.
Yeah.
And we moved on, but it was funny as hell. And again, his reaction was funny as hell because it's contradictory to what everybody would want to believe, and that he blew his stack and would want to destroy everything. He thought, as you said, he thought it was compelling and well written, but he loved the creativity of it. That it was like, God damn, what's he doing? Well, he's got a mortgage business. He kind of he stays busy. But it was, so we had that, and then I went to Australia, which was one of the coolest experiences of my life. And Wally, if you're out there, Hey man, shout out to Wally in Australia. I went and it was I think it was a three city tour, but we had to get there early and I had to stay late because of some visa rules or something, which I had no problem with. First time to Australia. Loved Australia. But they gave me a like a tour manager to babysit me for these 5 days or whatever that I'm there. And his name was Wally, and he was an old rock and roll roadie tour manager. And this guy was everything that you would expect from a 1970s rock and roll tour manager. He was kind of retired, but he was on top of everything. And I didn't, it was, we would pull up, I would already be checked into the room. We would have, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? We got this plan. We got this. Do you need anything? And it took me all over the place. We used every minute that we had in the markets to go and experience as much as we could possibly experience in every place. Humble brag, we pretty much sold out all 3 events, and it was amazing. But he would pick up on little things, like the first night they have this big platter of food, and I only ate like certain things, and so the next night, all the shit I didn't eat wasn't there. It was just the things I did eat. It was they pick you up at the hotel and take you to the meet and greet beforehand. And that son of a bitch started on time and ended on time. And then he would whisk me out of the building, take me back to the hotel to relax for an hour and a half, and then come back to the building and boom, on stage, like clockwork. It was military. Boom, went on stage, went out and did the deal. And I was very nervous in some ways because I was by myself, but I was at home. The audience was, I don't know, something about Australians and I think our fans in general, that when you get out in front of them, it's like they're all family, they're all, long lost friends and everything. And then, boom, we would get out and, what do you want to do, mate? And go hang out or do whatever. And, he didn't drink, didn't do drugs, didn't do anything like that. So, I drank my share of Australian beer and, had a good time, and it was great. Then came back from there. Then we did the one with JR, fresh. And,
We had the other one. I don't know if you remember, but it was in Connecticut. Me, you, and Eric.
oh yes, that was great.
Son, like 2,300 people or something. It was probably one of our biggest live shows outside of a WrestleMania weekend. It was super fun.
That was, God, thank you for that. Yeah, that one was with Eric. That was absolutely. Remember, we were supposed to do it with somebody else, and they allegedly had
an NWO convention, the biggest NWO reunion of all time.
Yeah,
that got canceled, so we wound up booking our own room. So instead of
I don't even think he canceled. He never did anything. Remember?
Well, I'm trying to be nice, but either way, we rented our own room and did it and had a great time. But I think it was just it was like February, so this would have been just a couple of weeks after you went back,
yeah. And that one was a blast. That one was the one where we let Shuley go out and do the open. And I said, do it short. I said, you'll see me in the back door. That'll be your cue to get off stage.
See me in the back door.
Well, I went to I meant front door, because remember, I walked around and I said, I'll walk out front. And once you see me, that's your cue to wrap up. And I'm standing there and I'm like, he's not wrapping up. And I'm trying to get over here and get it to go home. And some bitch went like 30, 40 minutes. I said, somebody get the hook. My God, that one was fun, because that was another one where we had no idea what we were going to do. And they were setting up seats, and just keep setting up seats. Like when they sell, people come up, buy tickets at the door, set up more seats. and that was incredible. That was a fun one, and then the JR one, and that was what it was. But yeah, I got to go do those things and kind of tie that up in a nice little bow, and be able to have fun on the way out, and then go back to work.
At the start of every year, it feels like everybody's trying to create some better habits, just clean up some old habits, myself included. And honestly, having one less drink has never felt easier. Instead of pouring a cocktail, I've been reaching for Soul's out of office drinks. Same relaxing vibe, zero alcohol, zero hangover, and I still wake up feeling like a functional adult. Soul makes feeling good simple. They make delicious hemp-derived CBD and THC products with their precise dosing and clean ingredients and formulations designed for predictable, feel-good effects. Soul is the alcohol alternative that puts you in control of your mood. Their best-selling out-of-office gummies deliver a customizable, calming buzz. And I got to tell you, this is my absolute favorite. You will find this wherever I am. There are out-of-office gummies nearby. And what I like best about it is they've got a microdose of 1.5 milligrams. That's perfect for my wife. When my buddy Cassio comes to visit, we'll throw him a 15 milligram for a deeper, more elevated experience. It's the easiest way to unwind without the grogginess or next day regret of alcohol. This is a staple in the Thompson household. I've tried a lot of different gummies from a lot of different providers. My go-to is now, without question, the out-of-office gummies. Now, maybe you're a little different from me. Maybe you decide I want a little sipping something. That's okay. They got the out-of-office beverage for the same smooth social vibe and a refreshing alcohol-free drink. Now, this is perfect for your happy hours, your dinners, or just taking it easy on the couch. And when it's time to get some rest, buddy, it's hard to beat Soul's Nightcap Gummies. They're going to help you get that deep, restorative sleep with a clean, plant-powered formula that avoids the hangover of traditional sleep aids. And I have to admit, I wasn't so sold on this until I tried it. I tracked my sleep and I get a sleep score. I had been rocking somewhere in the 70s and couldn't figure out what was going on for like a week. I finally broke open Soul's Nightcap Gummies. I got a 97 my first night. I mean, I woke up feeling refreshed, but it was the best, deepest sleep I've had. We all know the alternative. Sometimes you take something else and you wake up and you still feel a little groggy, like it takes you a little while to get going in the morning. That was not my experience with Soul's Nightcap Gummies. I absolutely love this product. I know you will too. I want you to know that every product that they make is done with wellness in mind. It's all organically farmed right here in the USA, grown hemp. They're vegan, they're gluten-free, they're low sugar, they're federally legal. But you can feel good about what you're putting in your body, and you can just feel better. Go give yourself the gift of a healthier unwind. Right now, Soul is offering my audience 30% off your entire order. Go right now to getsoul.com and use the code WRESTLE. That's getsoul.com. The promo code is WRESTLE. You'll get 30% off. That's GETSOUL.com. Promo code WRESTLE. In fairness, I don't know that we've ever talked about this on the show, but in real life, you were cautiously optimistic about returning to WWE. I remember you telling me something like, not taking anything in, not setting up anything in my office, not going to take any pictures, not going to take anything from home. Just ready whenever they ask for the key card and the iPad. Here it is. Thank you very much. See you. Goodbye. But it was almost like at first, like whatever you brought to the office that day in your briefcase, it went home with you in the briefcase.
Well, it's still that way, frankly.
Why were you so trepidatious about returning to WWE? Did it just not feel like it was home yet? You weren't settled in. It didn't feel real. You thought you had moved on and you were open to trying it. What were you thinking?
No, I wasn't trepidatious at all. It was actually, look, it was really just me and the whole, not having anything in my office, man, that goes back to after I got fired the first time. So when I had my office in Stanford the second time, that was actually a case of Pat and I both came back at the same time. We were not supposed to have offices in the office. Like we were under the assumption we weren't going into the office. We either worked at Vince's house or our house. Then one day he wants us in the office, gives us 2 offices, and we're in the office. And he walks in one day. Neither one of us had anything on the walls, nothing in there. I said, you got to put something on the walls, get some pictures, put some things up. And so we went to the folks in creative services, and we got all these outtakes of pictures of photo shoots with Vince. And we had giant pictures of Vince blown up poster size. And our offices were mirrors of one another. So we had the same pictures, same places, everything in our office. And all of Vince, caught off guard or whatever. And he walks in one day and he saw mine first. And and then he walks next door and sees Pat's. And at first, I think he was haha about it. Then I think he was like a little pissed about it. But needless to say, the pictures were gone shortly thereafter. And he actually got us some nice stuff. I have some of that. I have like Kamala's coffin and things like that. So he got some nice stuff. And I took those home when I went to Texas. But
wait, hang on. What do you mean you have Kamala's coffin?
So when we did the Undertaker vignette, building Kamala's coffin, it was going to be a casket match. And so we shot these vignettes of building the actual coffin. And there were blueprints for it. And the blueprints are cool as shit because he actually has like Kamala drawn into the coffin, like arms crossed and eyes closed. It's just a really cool blueprint. Then across stops Kamala's coffin. And yeah, that was one of my favorite keepsakes, and got that one downstairs in the basement somewhere. But so yeah, I just never, to this day, there's nothing in my office. Everything that I have is in my briefcase. That's just, it's just me. It's just me. It's just the way it is. I mean, my office is decorated now, but it's decorated with things from the office.
Bunch of brother love bullshit's what's up there, I bet.
Nice brother love bullshit. but also in the they have some stuff, the stuff that Bockwinkel had that he ended up with, put it that way. I'll be nice. I'm being nice. How you like that?
Mean? Bockwinkel ended up with. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, he ended up with him. And so when they went in and
wait, what does that
warehouse,
mean?
Huh?
What are you talking about? What did he end up with? What do you mean?
He ended up with a lot of the files and things from Paul's office, the ticket office.
Okay.
So in that was the Jeff Winningham photos. So you had gotten me some prints from Jeff Winningham from Wahoo's widow.
Yep.
And so I always loved those. So I have those here. But when I saw that they had like all of Jeff Winningham's pictures, my idea was to completely decorate everything around in black and whites. And so that's the majority of it in my office, in my actual office. There's a wall of brother love. He loves you, even you,
even me.
Doesn't mean he likes you,
but he does love me. I appreciate that.
Yes, he does love you.
So you find yourself settling into an office, and to be clear, this is the old office. What was the old address? Something 41 Main Street.
1241. What do you mean something 41? 1241.
Why? How am I supposed to remember an address?
Well, how are you not? It's just it's simple. Rolls off the tongue.
What's my address here at the office?
Huh?
I'm asking you what's my work address right now here at the office.
I can tell you.
Don't you Google it, you motherfucker, you.
No, I can tell you. I'm not
No, yeah.
Googling. I'm not Googling it.
No, because you just asked me by text a few days ago.
I can't read
No,
it.
no, no, don't say it on the air. Come on now. Don't say it. Don't do that. Let me ask you.
It's something 01. Huntsville, Alabama. How's that?
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
about the extent that I can read.
So you're in the old office. I know this is silly, but where is your office when you go back relative to, because some of us have seen like tours of Titan Tower. Were you on the same floor as Vince? Or you a floor below? How did that work? Tell us where you are in the office, who you're seated by, all that.
The creative team, I think we were on the second floor.
What was on the first floor? Reception and
no. God, man, it's okay. So yeah, you walk in, there's reception, and then first floor or second floor, I guess, was the gym, some other stuff. Third floor was God, you know what? That's terrifying. I don't remember. Wow. But the first floor was the gym. And then we were on the second floor. Third floor was finance and maybe marketing and stuff. And then the top floor was the executive offices. But I was on the second floor, and I was on the creative was over on one side, and I was on the whole other side of the office, closer to creative services than creative writing. I had the view of the No-Tell Motel. So right next to the office is this hotel, or not a hotel, a motel that was raided like every other day. And
raided.
Oh yeah, it was a drug den and just prostitutes on the roaming around the parking lot.
Hotel running whores next door to Titan Tower. So I'm glad y'all got out of there.
Yeah, on one side,
Stanford,
right? So like on one side, you got Long Island Sound,
right?
Beautiful view.
And then that from the rooftop, right?
And then you got this nice neighborhood on the other side. But like right off of 95 was this motel, and it used to have an Indian restaurant on the second floor there. The Indian restaurant was really, really good, actually.
That's a bad combination. Indian food.
No kidding. But it's like the Indian restaurant finally had to move to a better location because people they had no dinner crowd because people didn't want to go there with this motel. And so that was my view. My view was of the motel in I-95. I would rather had a view of the beverage barn on the other side.
So tell us who else has offices around you. Like Ed Koski would have been on that floor.
Yeah, but he was on the other side. They were all on the other side.
So is it all creative on the second? Like is Triple H on that floor, or Paul Levesque? Is he on that floor?
He's up on the fourth floor.
Okay. So who else is on that same floor with you? And are there like, because I think I remember seeing in some of the vignettes, or maybe when you guys did Money in the Bank there's like a conference room, right?
Well, we had our writer's room. We had a couple writer's rooms and things like that. I'm sure there was.
What's in a writer's room? Talk me through that.
Big table, bunch of monitors, big TVs. Just table,
dry erase board and all that.
Probably, yeah.
So in a writer's room, like what was like, I'm trying to just, and I feel like I'm having to beat it out of you here.
Well, no, because it's I take it for granted, it's in front of you all the time.
Well, we don't know. We've never seen it.
Yeah. I don't, it was just a big room with TV monitors on the wall and windows on the other side. And we had dry erase boards and shit in there, or the big tablets and stuff like that.
So the TV monitors on the wall, are those just so you can connect and sort of share your screen, or are they showing like, I was in the Titan Tower once before, and like whether you were in the lobby or you're on the elevator or whatever, it's like the network on a loop. So when you go back in 2019 in the writer's room, is there your current programming or nostalgia stuff on a loop, or is it just big monitors and you're using it as a screen sharing device?
No, they was TVs. You had cable. You also could access the network. I'm sure we could have shared our screens, but did it for what the hell they call it then? It wasn't Zoom.
Teams,
I don't. Yeah, I don't
Skype.
know. Skype. Yeah, people Skype in and stuff like that, so you could put them up there.
And I assume that this is where, like, if you were working with Vince on an idea with the writers, does that happen on the second floor or did that happen on the fourth floor?
No, that would happen upstairs.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this is like where the ideas are sort of developed, and then upstairs is where they're pitched.
It's there. Look, there were just a couple like what the hell, like a huddle rooms, different places. SmackDown had a room, Raw had a room. There was a big meeting room for everybody. But then there were offices and different things for people to just kind of spread out and do their work. So you had team meeting rooms and huddle rooms, just an office. I mean, it's just like any other office.
So let me ask you, when you're having these meetings, is it like a sales organization may have like a standing sales meeting on Mondays at 9 or something like that? Did you guys have standing meetings like that? Or would there be a routine of, hey, on these afternoons, we do huddles, we do formal meetings on this time? What was the schedule back in
There
20?
was no real schedule. The only thing that it was, you had a live show on Monday, you have a live show on Friday. You got to get them done. You're going to meet with Vince on whatever day, and that's going to be your opportunity to pitch him. So during the rest of that time, you're formulating ideas and formulating shows. There was no 9 o'clock on Tuesday, we do this, and 3 o'clock on Tuesday, we have this meeting. It's very fluid. And again, you're feeding so many different departments and so many different masters that it has to be fluid. And you do your best, and you just are always working to be prepared.
So talk me through, sort of the evolution of creative, because we know once upon a time it was, Vince, Bruce, and Pat sitting around the pool at Vince's house coming up with ideas, and you had the big books, and there was a lot of handwriting and all that. And we've seen some of those. You've shared us some of those in the archives at somethingtowrestle.com, but that obviously evolves. So in the 90s, I imagine, and up until you left, and we'll call it 2008, email is going to become more prominent. And now there's all these other apps and devices and all that. Has the creative process changed that much in the scheme of things from the late 80s to, we'll call it 2020s? Like, what is the evolution of how these ideas come to life from a WWE side? How did it change while you were gone?
You have a lot of different minds pitching ideas and pitching different stories and different things. And you have a lot more. There was a time there were just the three of us. We did everything. We talked to the talent. We talked to the producers. We produced it. We wrote it. We did everything. Now you have a team of highly creative people that are pitching. It's I wouldn't say it's akin to a Hollywood writer's room, but it's pretty close. It's probably the most, I think, like what we do would probably be Saturday Night Live. But it's people sitting around pitching ideas, getting with talent, pitching ideas, and coming up with stuff, seeing how they can work into the shows, and then formatting shows. And then that's pretty much what it is.
So I want to circle in on when you said pitching. I think we all know that has to happen. And I know that you've sort of freestyled here on the podcast in the past, talking about way back when. And one of your favorite phrases, one you've embraced to this day, is "what if?" And I love that. But are those ideas happening in small groups and then a larger group and then there's a formal pitch to Vince, or what was the process like in
All the above.
2019? Okay.
You got small groups over here, then you get in your big group team, and then go in and pitch Vince. And
So when
there's lead writers that are going to pick out what they think is best, and they're also going to formulate and be able to outline the show and do all that stuff. It's for someone who did it from day one. It's a listen to people who may have done it in previous lives. Nothing the way that it is now, there's nothing that can compare to it based on how it used to be. Bill Watts writing television in his office with his book and deciding what's going to be on TV and telling everybody what to do. One guy writing down the ideas, and then he's going to tell you at TV, and you're just going to do it. There was no discussion. There was no pitch. There was nothing. That was one guy's head, and he wrote it. Booker comes in, the Booker does that. This is different in that this is a lot of different people. Some who've never taken a bump. Yes, they've never taken a bump, a lot of them, most of them. But they have ideas, and they are able to pitch things. It's just not one head. When you only have the one head, then everything is going to be the same, and everything is going to be, from that one head. You need different ideas from different places, with different backgrounds, with different viewpoints, and different ways to do it. To have someone that doesn't understand the business that can pitch something, and why not? And then you've got to try to figure out, well, you know what? Why not? Why couldn't we do that? So it's just the philosophy really that's changed, and the process is still, you got to take your ideas and you got to format those ideas into a television show, and you've got to figure out a way to fill, whatever it was, 3 hours Raw and then 2 hours for SmackDown. So it's very simple yet very complex.
When you first go back in February, how long is it before you're in some of those creative meetings? Is that happening in February, or does it come a little later?
No. Right off the bat.
So when you're first going back in 2019, you said there's meetings, and I've been in a bunch of meetings, never a wrestling creative meeting, so I don't know. But usually in a meeting, there's someone sort of organizing the meeting, and I'm not saying he's necessarily the guy in charge, but he is tasked with running the meeting. Who was running the meeting when you first go back in 2019?
Again, when you're meeting with Vince, you have a lead writer there, and the lead writer will generally drive the meeting in the pitches, but you have other people there that are pitching. So it's not okay, this person does that, this person does that. If you have an idea, pitch it. And it's you to this day, I don't even know. I get a notice on my phone and my calendar fills up. I have an assistant who likes to play Tetris with my calendar. Well, there's an open space meeting. So it's just like anything else. You go in and you get it done. It's very difficult to explain. If you haven't experienced, if you've never been involved in the creative process of that, and what all needs to happen, and to some of us, it's second nature and very difficult to tell you, oh, well, no, you do this. It's not A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
One of the things we've heard through the years as fans is that a lot of talent had like a favorite producer that they would work with. Were the producers ever involved on these creative discussions, or does that come later?
Everybody is. Look, wherever you can get a good idea, you're going to go try and get a good idea from them. So those things, that's no different than, day one. everything. It's you go get ideas from wherever you can, and producers and talent, and if people like working with people, they work with them. So it's yeah, man, everybody's involved. It's a community, which I think is a good thing.
So I guess what I was getting at was, if we knew that there were certain producers that worked with certain talent, were there
Mhm.
certain writers where, hey, we know this guy really likes working with that
They're
producer?
assigned, yeah. There are writers that are assigned to their stories and things that they communicate with. Yes.
So when you're doing one of these calls, I guess there's maybe the first creative group, maybe a small group, and then we go to a larger group, and that's when these people would be Skyping in and phoning in, guys like Road Dogg or Michael Hayes or whatever.
Yeah, Michael Hayes. No, Michael. Just by that point, Michael wasn't involved in it. But no, it's again, it's and for me, I think that the hardest thing for me anymore is to start with, boom, blank piece of paper. I don't have that bandwidth anymore. I don't have that patience, I guess is a good word. So I am much better served coming in. It's like, okay, pitch me. I will try and make it better. I can tell you whether that's good or not good or whatever. And so I have not been in that day to day. That again, that's where it's a group. It's not okay. Well, that guy only works with male masquers. And no, everybody works for Mel Moskers, No, yeah. But it is a group, and
Well, you're saying
everybody's
everybody
pitching
works
and
with everybody.
everybody's giving ideas.
I don't mean to interrupt, but you're saying everybody works with everybody, but you a minute ago said there was a Raw team and a SmackDown team. So there
Yeah,
is some sort of
there
designation,
is,
right?
there is, and you have a writer who you can talk to about your ideas. But then when it gets into the formulation of putting the show together,
Right.
it's a village. It's my thing. I always say, hey, it takes a village, and it is literally a village that to get these shows on the air. And then you go through, the production folks, and the production folks do an incredible job with packages and getting everything together. And you've got so many different things to incorporate. And when people, talk about the shows and everything, oh, they should have done this, they should have done that, should have done this. Everyone that says that has never, ever written a show under the parameters of having to deal with networks, having to deal with network executives, standards and practices, commercial time, contracts, and all of the other things that are involved in the show. So it's not just, well, you just write a show and that's what they put on. It's not that way anymore. And it has grown into the corporation being so big. We serve ad sales, we serve creative services, we serve production, we serve talent, we serve many masters, and then you're serving the networks and their bosses and their standards and practices and their legal teams and all of their stuff. So it's not as easy as, why'd they do that? Why'd they take a break there? Well, sometimes you have to. And so it's everybody. I expect everybody on the team to be able to write a show and produce a show. They have to have all those skills. So to just designate, well, this person only does that. That's not how it works. They've got to be able to do it all. They may come in, is an assistant or whatever. I think the best writers all come in as assistants, learn, and then start to throw ideas out there, but they get to see how the process works. And there's not one element that we don't touch. So it's not as cut and dry as, all right, you only do FHA mortgages. You only do, this. You only do 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 this. You only do
VHA. You have to do it all, and you also have to do cleaning the toilet too. So it's just that diverse. It's all right. We want to do this. Well, we need this element for a show. I need a car for a show, but I need this kind of car. And well, that sounds, just get a car. All right, what's the budget? They have to know everything about it. So there's not a cut and dry, clear definition. It's okay. You're on the team. You're part of the creative team. That means that if I need you to go and sweep up a room, you go and sweep up a room. If I need you to go and work with Roman Reigns and let him know what he's doing tonight, you need to be able to go and communicate with Roman Reigns, tell him what he's doing tonight. So that's why it's when you can't just say, well, who did this? It's not that simple anymore. When there were only 3 people doing it,
That was
wasn't
easy.
simple. Yeah. Was that simple? The company has grown. This is a $1 billion company, publicly traded company. So all those masters are served. Oh yeah, and then there's the stockholders, and you have to know all of that. You have to understand all of it and be able to do it. There are folks that, hey man, I'll only do this. Well, then you're only going to go that far. The folks that go far are the ones that can adapt, and those that can do everything. So it's and it varies, man. It varies. Well, who's got the best handle on this story? Okay, then man, sell it. Sell it to me. Tell me how you do it. Tell me what's going to make this work. And if there's somebody that doesn't, is there somebody that can come in and pick it up?
Finally, some things are changing, and in a good way, for banking. My friends over at Chime are changing the way people bank. It's fee-free, and it's smarter banking built for you. It's not like those old school banks that charge you overdrafts and monthly fees. No, this is built for you, not the 1%. You see, Chime isn't just another banking app. They unlock smarter banking for everyday people with products like MyPay. That'll even give you access up to $500 of your paycheck anytime, and getting paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit. Some old banks still don't do this. By the way, forget the overdraft fees, the minimum balance fees, and the monthly fees. Chime turns everyday spending into real rewards and real progress. You can bank fee-free. You even get this overdraft coverage you can count on. They'll even help you build your credit history, and they do this all stress-free. You get paid when you say up to $500, especially if you're rocking that direct deposit. And did you know that you can earn up to 3% APR on your savings? Yeah, that's like 7 times higher than what you get at a traditional bank. But don't take our word for it. Check it out. It's been rated 5 stars by USA Today for customer service. You're going to be talking to a real human 24/7. What I really like, though, as the guy in the mortgage business that you know, it's the new way to build credit history with your own money and get rewarded every day. There's no annual fees. There's no interest. There's no strings attached. And when you get qualifying direct deposits, you even get 1.5% cash back on eligible Chime card purchases. This is banking of the future. Chime is not just smarter banking, it's the most rewarding way to bank. Join the millions who are already banking fee-free today. It takes just a few minutes to sign up. Head on over to chime.com/wrestle. That's chime.com/wrestle. Chime.com/wrestle.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services, a secured Chime Visa credit card, and MyPay line of credit provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. MyPay eligibility requirements apply, and credit limit ranges $20 to $500. Optional services and products may have fees or charges. See chime.com/fees info. Advertised annual percentage yield with Chime Plus status only. Otherwise, 1.00% APY applies. No min balance required. Chime card on-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Results may vary. See chime.com for details and applicable terms.
Hey, so you're back in 2019, and I was trying to figure out like what had changed, and it sounds like a lot had changed creatively. Who are some of the players that you're working with in 2019? And was it a totally different team than you left previously? Like, it feels like Koski's been there forever.
Yeah, I think Ed was the only one.
Only one that was still there.
Was Ryan Ward there, or did you work with him the first time? Because that's a
No.
name I heard back in the day.
No, Ryan. I met Ryan when I came back.
Who else was there in
Nobody.
2019 before? Well, I don't mean like that you worked with before. I get that it's just Koski. So it's Vince, Koski, and you. That's the old guard, so to speak.
Dave Kapoor.
Okay. Who are the other faces that are in some of these rooms in 2019, and what's your relationship like with them when you first come back?
I mean, Brian James was there. Like Brian, I had a good relationship with him. The rest of them, it was just, an opportunity to get to know. And if you were to look, the turnover's high. I couldn't even tell you everybody that was there. I tell you who's left: John Beckstrom and Ryan Ward and Ed. But beyond that, and I'm probably leaving somebody out, and they'll get mad at me. So that's why I'm not even going to try to remember. But it was a lot of people, but it was a diverse group, and you have men, women, young, old, and it tried to mirror as much as you can, the audience. So, a lot of people with different backgrounds.
When Eric comes in, is he working with these same groups, or is it a different group? Like, were you in meetings with Eric, or is that a totally different thing?
I was in the pitch meetings with Eric, with Vince, but I don't think I was in many of their creative, original smaller meetings. And again, there are times that I probably popped in, and that was probably the thing that I missed the most. Even to this day, I do enjoy that just kicking around ideas and trying to get things started. I hate the blank piece of paper, but I love listening to other people's ideas and being able to try to develop and make them better or make them work.
And you just don't have that bandwidth anymore with all the other meetings.
I really don't. Don't. Yeah, especially now. It's I'm just kind of spread very thin. And then I was still. I was still looking at the convention side of things, but also I was dividing my time between Raw and SmackDown and trying to help both sides. I was Dave Kapoor and I were the only ones that went to both shows when they did the split and everything, and everybody else either did, if they were on the Raw team, they did Raw. If they were on the SmackDown team, they did SmackDown. Dave and I did both. So, I didn't have a specific, you're only SmackDown or you're only Raw. I kind of where I left off before, I did both.
In talking to Eric, the gist we got was the schedule could be chaotic. And a lot of that was because Vince McMahon respectfully kept a madman schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And so, sometimes he would get off the plane in the middle of the night and go work out and then just go right to the office or whatever. But there were stories out there that maybe there would be an afternoon meeting that doesn't get started for several hours later, and it might actually not adjourn until like 3 a.m. and then you got to be back at the office at 8. Was that your experience too? What was the crazy schedule when you first go back in 2019?
It was crazy. It was crazy because there was just so much going on, and everything. It always felt like, creative got pushed. And probably the reason creative got pushed was because that's what he enjoyed. That was the time that he really enjoyed doing creative. So you're working at his schedule, and yes, we worked late. I don't think I was ever in the office at 8. But still, you're in at 10 or 11 and getting out at 3:00 in the morning is rough. But yeah, the schedule was crazy, and the schedule was new. The schedule just became new in that October when you're doing a show on Monday and Friday, because now meeting times are different. It's all new. It's all an experiment in many ways, because where you used to be able to do your creative meetings with Vince on a Thursday and a Friday, well, that Friday's gone because now that's production day. And so now that moves the Raw creative. Where does that go? Does that go before the SmackDown that's going to air that Friday, or does that go after the SmackDown and then you're working all weekend to get the Monday show? Now, for the respective teams, they could get a day off in there and what have you. For me, yeah, I was on everything. So I didn't have the luxury of, okay, well, I'm not going to have to be on a weekend call because I did this. I was on everything. So it was trying to figure out the cadence that worked best. And when you're doing it, and again, probably what, a big part of the reason why, Dave and I did both is we were able to also help Vince and everybody else keep things clear. Because if you're talking about Raw and then you're going to produce SmackDown, you got Raw on your head. You got to keep just where the rudder's in the water to try and keep it straight and know what the hell we're doing. So it was challenging, to say the least.
The crazy schedule that, we've heard about in this 2019 era, did that exist when you left in 08? Were you still doing meetings that started so late and going so late, or was that something new that had changed about
No,
Vince?
and again, I wasn't there when it changed. So, but it changed at some point, and it just morphed into that, and that's what it became. So, the whys and the whatnots and everything, can't tell you. I inherited it. So it was one of those things that changed over the years. And again, I think especially later with the shows, on different days, complete polar opposites, the Monday and Friday, that changed the whole dynamic. Because you're not doing it back to back. You're not producing it back to back. So that changes the dynamic of how you're going to lay it out and how you're going to pitch it. And you got to keep all that shit straight in your head, and you got to keep it straight in Vince's head. And that's a difficult thing to do sometimes, because not only is he worried about the shows, he's worried about everything else in the company. So you just gotta steer the ship a little bit and get everybody on the same path.
What else changed about working with Vince from when you left in 08 to coming back? The late night meetings, that's new. What else was new or different with Vince?
I think more than anything, I think access in general. I think that his schedule was just such that the enormity of the company and just the enormity of everything that they were doing, the network, it just was, the company had grown so much in those 10 years. NXT, everything, there were so many new elements and so many different balls to juggle that how he ever kept any of it straight is baffling. But there was just so much, and there was no sign ever of reducing it in any way, shape, or form. Everything was about growth. Everything was about global expansion and growth. So with that in mind, when you got there, it was you took every moment you could to work and to get everything that you could out of him and lay everything out. So it was yeah, it was just challenging. It was just more than anything. What changed? The size of the company. Everything in it grew so much, by 10 times at least, that what you used to be able to do and get done in a week or in a meeting now took a month and several meetings.
Do you think Vince liked having you around because you could relate to how much it had all changed? Like you were the only connective tissue to the way things used to be, and maybe he could say, "Remember when we used to?"
No, he no. I mean, I think it was more of a I could keep things straight. Um, the more I have on my plate now, the more I understand how difficult it was for him. But it was, I think there was a comfort there in knowing that we need to get this done. Boom, got it. He really didn't have to think about it after that.
You could take it off his plate and just handle it.
If I said I got it, I got it, and it was, yeah, I think familiarity and just that kind of comfort zone a little bit for him. And frankly, everybody will laugh at this, some maturity to the team and to the overall process that had done it, in another realm, in another way. I was much older, and I did mature quite a bit, and had done other things and done other business and stuck my toes in other waters. So it wasn't just, and plus there was the sheer fact of I was in a different place of not having to this be my end all be all.
Right. You didn't have all your eggs in that basket, so to speak.
Right. So, and I was comfortable with that. And I think that he didn't have that same domineering force over me. But look, we're friends, and I love and admire the guy. So we had different ways of communicating that other people couldn't communicate with him in that way. And to that, I think he appreciated that. It was
I want to ask you about that because it couldn't have all just been roses. There had to be some growing pains. You had to adjust. You had to, find the line, or there had to be some sort of along the way when you first come back, a stumbling block with you and Vince, where maybe you guys disagreed on something, or you did something you didn't like and you didn't know, or whatever. Can you tell us about the first, I don't want to say blow up, but negative interaction that happened with you and Vince, or was it just two peas in the pod the whole time?
I don't think we really did. I don't think we really did. Now, that doesn't mean we agreed on everything. And that
Right.
was again a big part of our relationship, and that I could tell him no, and I could tell him that I didn't like something, and we could discuss it, and either I could change his mind or he would change my mind. But when we left the room, we were a united front.
Right.
That's you have to do that. You can't leave the room, go, oh yeah, we're going to do this, but my idea was this. That doesn't work. That doesn't work in any business. If you have a team meeting and you get all of your loan officers together and you have a meeting and you decide this is how we're going to do it from now on, and it's rah, and then they leave, fucking old man, fucking Conrad, he didn't know what the fuck he's doing. I told him we should have done it this way. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you have to, go in, but he's also got to have, you can't have the guy that just says, yeah, boss, that's right. Can't do that. That's death. He didn't want to hear that. And I would listen and tell him it sucked. But if I didn't agree with it, I would say, okay, cool. Why are we doing it that way? And then what if we did it this way? Because it could work. And I said, do you mind if I take a stab at this to see if there's another way to do this, or what have you? But again, I think my presentation got better over the years, and you change and you grow, or you die. And I had changed a lot. He had changed a lot. But at the same time, we both had the love of what we do, and we shared that. And that was so there. I don't, God, man, I don't think we had a blow up at all ever. This is at all. I don't think I've had a blow up. And again, I think that comes with maturity and how I handle things. But was it? You say all right, and it wasn't all peaches and cream all the time, but it wasn't.
Right.
It was business. It was business, man. You do what you have to do, and you move on. And people get the character on television mixed up with the human being, and that was it's just
Well, you have to
different.
get frustrated at live TV, right? I mean, when you guys are producing TV and you're there day of, I don't mean like
Mhm.
you're in a war room somewhere, but shit's happening live and something didn't go exactly according to plan. Somebody's going to raise their voice. And you guys
Yeah,
were,
but
that
then
was
it's
your,
next.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah, you man. Let me tell you something. Live television is war. All right. When you go live and until you are clear, it's war. And there are only, there were only a couple people that were making those decisions. And only a couple people that could, frankly. So I've never been afraid of making a decision and would make those decisions, those hard decisions. And I lived with it at the end of the day, for good, bad, or indifferent. But yeah, you blow up in the middle of a show all the time. You get pissed in the moment. But if you stay pissed, you're wasting your time, man. Life's too short. You can't be pissed off over some. The other thing that I try to let people know, and it's botch. I hate that word. Maybe that was supposed to happen. We know what we wanted in our head to happen. Maybe it doesn't happen exactly like we wanted it to happen, but doesn't mean it was bad. You get pissed off in the moment because you had it envisioned one way, but then you go back and look at it and go, no, that worked. Or maybe go back and they did it. We did it exactly like we laid out. And go, I don't think that worked.
Hey man, you ever have one of those moments with your family? Maybe you're all sitting around the dinner table, or maybe that was somebody's birthday, and it almost feels like the noise drowns out and you look around and it feels slow motion for a minute. You're overcome with gratitude. I think that happens to every guy at some point where they're like, man, I'm pretty proud of this. But I'll tell you what, you got to balance that with the weighty responsibility of protecting those loved ones and making sure the financial planning for the future is all handled. That can be overwhelming for guys like us. And that's why I think finding the right insurance policy can help you ease that weight. And the way I recommend doing it is Policy Genius. I want you to start the new year with clarity and security. Why don't you lock in your life insurance today? Policy Genius can help. It's an online insurance marketplace that allows you to compare quotes from some of America's top insurers, and you do this side by side. And oh yeah, you do it for free. Their licensed team will help you get what you need fast so you can get on with your life. You'll easily find everything you need, the coverage amounts, the prices, the terms, and there's no guesswork, just clarity. Policy Genius helps you find your most affordable policy that meets your needs. They answer your questions, handle the paperwork, and even advocate for you throughout the process. Policy Genius has thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot from customers who found their best policy fit for their needs. Plan the year knowing you've protected what you've built with Policy Genius. You can see if you can find the 20-year life insurance policy starting at just $276 a year for $1 million in coverage. That's worth repeating. See if you could find 20-year life insurance policies starting at just $276 a year for $1 million in coverage. Head on over to policygenius.com/wrestle to compare life insurance quotes from the top companies and see how much money you could save. That's policygenius.com/wrestle.
And you have to be honest with yourself about what you're looking at.
I wanted to bring up the live TV thing because I know it's the stress and pressure of the moment. You're not necessarily mad at the person, there's just a lot of stress and pressure to, we got to meet the network expectations. We got to deliver on sponsors. We got satellite time. We got hard outs. All of these parameters exist, whether people think that that exists or not. Yes, it exists with streaming services too. And anyone who tells you differently doesn't understand. But I bring this up because I know that we weren't podcasting at the time, but when WWE rolled out their Untold story, you got a little bit of traction on social media for being stressed during a live debut on Netflix. And I guess the wrestler we used to know as Abyss in TNA was the producer. And boy, that just made a mountain out of a molehill online, but the people amongst fans, but the people who had actually been in that seat or produced a live wrestling show, whether they work in WWE or a competitor, they were all like, yeah, that's just like normal TV.
Yeah.
But I wanted to give you a chance to sort of explain.
Well, you said Untold. It's unreal.
Oh,
right?
sorry.
No, I'm threw me off because I forget the name. Unreal. So yeah, there's cameras everywhere. There's cameras around you all day long. You forget there's cameras on you. And that's yeah, man, it's live TV. It's live TV. You know who they're going to come to at the end of the day if the show doesn't work or the show doesn't go off on time or doesn't work. They're coming to me. Okay. That's the end of the story. And I'm responsible for it. So when in communication, sometimes things get lost in communication. Also, the beauty of documentaries and the beauty of editing is you can create stories.
Yes, sir.
And you don't get the whole story all the time. And anybody who knows Chris Park knows what a wonderful human being he is. He's one of the sweetest guys on the face of the earth, extremely talented and really good at what he does and cares. I mean, just cares. And he's a beautiful soul, man. He really is. And, Chris takes everything to heart. If you are in a situation, man, and you're at a point, you're asking a question, you're not getting an answer, or I'm not getting the answer that I need. If I ask you what time it is, I don't want to get the history of watchmaking. I want to know what time it is. If I ask you how much time do we have left, I don't want to hear. We're getting close. Just need a number. Tell me, help me. And that happens literally every week on every single show. And it was good TV. And I found it, I still haven't seen the whole, I watched the entire series, but it was one of those I had it on while I was in here working. So I haven't sat down and just watched it. I did watch that particular scene and thought it was hilarious, thought it was great. But Chris is Chris and Chris is awesome. So anybody that takes that for being a bully or anything else, you've never worked in live television and you've never worked in real life. And if everything has to be sugar coated for you, I feel really, really sorry for you. Because life's tough. And in order to make it sometimes, man, you got to be able to take it or get out. If you can't take it in the kitchen, get the hell out of the kitchen. And Chris can take it. And he does his job and he does a damn good job at it.
The thing that was hilarious to me, Bruce, watching was the persons you were upset with in that situation would not include Chris Park.
My English friend. Oh, you're wonderful. I love you. Oh, everyone loves you. But that's Darren. That's what William Regal does.
I didn't even mean that. I just mean if a match is going long.
Oh, yeah,
it's
match
not
going
the guy
long.
in the
I
back
thought you
wearing
were
the
talking
head-
about, well, Regal afterwards telling him he's loved and he's wonderful and you
Yes.
did excellent and all that stuff. Everybody loves, God, thank God for Regal. He set Bruce in his place. Like, That's Darren. Darren's another one. He's fucking, here's a guy who is about as even keel as it gets,
Yes, sir.
and a great guy. And he that's what he's there for. He's there to, hey man, it's okay. Here, let's go do that. I'm the hothead. I'm allowed to be the hothead in that moment. And then afterwards, I'm gonna bitch for about 10 minutes. And then
next week, yeah.
Yeah, let's go. We ain't got time to listen to me, bitch. Unless you listen to this podcast, then you've got time to listen to me, bitch.
I mean, let's recap a little while ago. So, Bruce, you go back in 2019. Talk to me about how the writers' room looked in 1983.
Hey, Meltzer, man. Fuck you, Conrad.
You were fired up, bud, and I'm like, what happened? What just happened? I don't even know.
This guy, man, it's just some of the. And I couldn't even imagine if I tried to find anything that he says or does, but like there's clippets just come up, and the clippets just absolutely drive me nuts sometimes because it's I try to get away from it, and it's oof.
Let's talk about Bischoff. How quickly did you realize that hey, this was not the fit that he hoped for or Vince hoped for? Was it apparent soon, or were you surprised when it happened? Just talk to me about, because I know you're in a bad spot. Obviously, you're friends with Vince. You're freshly back in your spot. You spoke up for him. He does great in the interview. Now he's got the job. It doesn't feel like he's having fun. It doesn't feel like Vince is happy, or I don't know how it happened, but I want you to sort of help us fill in the blanks here.
Yeah, I don't know how it happened either, frankly. And Eric was a friend of mine, and I supported Eric. I didn't know that it was at that state at all. I know that Eric was frustrated, and I really didn't know that Vince was as frustrated as he was. And again, because I was divvying up my time between both shows. So SmackDown's done. I got to go to Raw. And so I didn't have that time and bandwidth for that particular thing. I'm like, okay, man, you got to go. And I just think it was different. I think it was a different time and a different place for Eric. And I think Eric was used to having more control and more of a say over what he was doing. And Eric really tried. And I just think that it was a matter of lack of the two of them being able to communicate with one another. That's all. That's really, I think, what it boiled down to.
Let me ask you this. If Eric would have come back in a post-Vince WWE, now we know, as you and I are recording, they just finished their third RAF 03. This is their third Real American Freestyle event. I can't share the numbers on the air, but it is hugely successful for Fox Nation. Everyone is thrilled. He's got a real hit on his hand, so he's knee deep in success and all that. And so we're happy for him. But I often wonder, as just his friend, if he would have come in a post Vince WWE, would we have gotten the same result, or was there just some oil and water there with him and Vince?
I think there was oil and water.
Yeah,
I really do. I think oil and water in basic philosophy, and also in structure. So, it just happens sometimes, because you look at what Eric has done post, he's got a hit on his hands.
Yeah.
And good for him. And he built that. And that's something that, he can point to and say, okay, I did this. And it just was, I think it was just oil and water, wrong place, wrong time. And I don't know that the structure and environment of what our company is and what it has become it's tough to teach an old dog new tricks. Trust me, I know. Very, very difficult for me to learn new tricks.
That's what I wanted to ask. Did you ever feel similarly to Eric, where you at least questioned, maybe internally in your own head, maybe to your wife, maybe a late night call to a 256 number, hey man, I don't know if I
Oh.
can keep doing this anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because you get inside your own head and you think of the way it was.
Yeah.
And the way it was, this is another pet peeve of mine. I saw, these things come up on your feed and you turn the volume on and go, oh, why did I do that? But it was two old timers, not going to mention names, but they start off, they're doing a video for one of these shoot things or whatever. And they started off with, what's wrong with the business today? I'm going to tell you what's wrong with the business today. They went through all these things. Folks, I'm here to tell you, there is nothing wrong with the business today. It's just different than it was yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that, and the year, and the decades, and the decades, and the decades before that. It's just different. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. They make these things right here. This is called a remote control. You can change channels with it. You can turn it off. All these things that you can do with it. And you have that choice. If you don't like it, don't watch it. If you don't like this podcast, don't listen to this podcast. See my face pop up? Don't watch it. But it's just changed. I listened to guys in the 70s, that's 1970s, talk about how the business in the 70s, these guys were killing the business and ruining the business because it's not the way it was in the 60s and the 50s. And I'm sure the guys in the 60s and the 50s bitched about how they were ruining it because it wasn't the way it was in the 30s and the 40s and the 20s. And in 2030 and 35, guys are going to sit there and go, oh my God, these guys are killing the business now. Business ain't dead. It's never been healthier. And the simple fact, you have to grow and you have to change or you will die. Now, if you stay secluded in your house or your basement or whatever, and you just watch what you want to watch, more power to you. Congratulations, man. You've got it licked. Great. Then do that and enjoy it. But accept, and that goes for every product that is out there today. We are different than everybody else. They are different than us and everybody else. Everybody else has their own way of doing things. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's just different. It's not good. It's not bad. It's different. You make the choice. Well, I like that. I don't like this, or I like some of that. I like some of this. Then enjoy both and just enjoy it. But there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just different. And, sometimes I drink Pepsi. Sometimes I drink Coke. Sometimes I drink A&W root beer. I like them all. But I don't hate Coke because I like Pepsi. It's just they're different. Sometimes I want a different taste. Sometimes, where's my thing? I get the sugar-free cherry Kool-Aid and put it in my water. Just to be different. That's all it is, man. And you've got to accept that. And don't, it's I know I was really negative earlier, and I apologize for being negative.
No, listen,
But
I liked it. I liked it. We get to hear what you're really thinking, and that's what we want.
But I hate to be negative on things, and I try to look at it like that. I try to look at it as, hey man, it's just different. It's just different. You got to grow. You got to grow. I look at my kids that are 26 years old. I go, God, I wish they were still 5.
All right, folks. A well-built wardrobe is about pieces that work together and hold up over time, and that's what Quince is doing best. With premium materials, thoughtful design, and everyday staples that actually feel easy to wear, and they're very easy to rely on, even as the weather's shifting. And I got to tell you, there's been days here in Alabama where it's like 19, and then the next day it's like 68. Like, what's going on? Quince has the everyday essentials that I love with quality that lasts. They're going to keep you looking good and feeling good every day. With things like organic cotton sweaters or polos for every occasion, the lighter jackets that'll keep you warm in these changing seasons, the list just goes on. Quince works directly with the top factories and cuts out the middlemen, so you're not paying for brand markup, just quality clothing. Everything is built to hold up to daily wear and still look good season after season. Plus, they only partner with factories that meet their rigorous standards for both craftsmanship and ethical production. I've bragged about it before, but I got a wool coat and I absolutely loved it. I also gifted my dad a cashmere sweater. Don't tell him, but I didn't have to break the bank. Quince hooked me up, and they can do that for you too. Go refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go right now to quince.com/wrestle for free shipping on your order plus 365-day returns. Did I mention this is available in Canada now too? That's QUINCE.com/wrestle. Free shipping and 365-day returns. That's quince.com/wrestle. QUINCE.com/wrestle. The thing that I think it's awesome about, and I don't want to keep talking about Dave Meltzer. He's not our topic today, but
We ought to do a topic on him and dirt sheets. And
oh God, please no.
Yes, yeah, let's do it.
I'm just saying, like, when people get caught up on what's 5 stars and what's not, it's his opinion. This guy thought it was a 5-star match. You may define 5 stars differently. Like, it's also subjective. If I've learned nothing else from Double J, I've learned that creative is subjective, and
every bit of it.
I've told you this story before, but you know, Kansas, once upon a time, my daughter was a big fan of WWE and wrestling in general. And when Naomi had the LED strips around the women's title on SmackDown, when she came through the curtain, I remember thinking to myself, I didn't say it out loud, internal talk, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. I hate that. I can't believe they're bastardizing the belt like that. This is stupid. And Kansas was so excited, she jumped off the couch and said, "Oh my God, Dad, that's the coolest belt I've ever seen. Can you believe that? Look at that thing." And it clicked for me, like, you know what? I bet way back in 1988, when Ted DiBiase came out with a diamond encrusted $sign belt, my dad said, "Would you look at this hokey shit?" But he didn't say that out loud. He internalized it, and he allowed his son to be like, "Dad, look, he's got $1 million belt. That's the coolest thing." It's just subjective. That wasn't for me. That was for Kansas. And that doesn't make it bad. It just means it's not for me.
Right.
Yeah.
But let him enjoy it. You know, there's a lot of things out there I don't enjoy. So you know what I do?
I don't watch it.
I don't watch it. I don't do it, man. I just kind of like, all right, cool. Yeah,
so let's talk about how the business changed. One of the biggest changes that I see, and again, I'm not there and never was, but way back when you left in 08, there was this thing hanging around called pay-per-view, and guys would get paid based on the pay-per-views. And of course that all went away with the creation of the network in 2014. But there was also, you know, the rights fees for television. Like, that changed dramatically, and it changed WWE's business forever. And so once upon a time, guys got paid based on the house. If you didn't work, you didn't get paid. And if where you were on the card and how much your merch sold, man, your pay could change drastically. And that's kind of always the way wrestling had been done since you first got into it until 2008. But now when you come back 11 years later, everyone's on these Fat Daddy guaranteed contracts and the rules have changed. Was that something that was a learning curve for you that you had to get adjusted to? Because it does feel like it would change the mentality of how you write for people, how you manage people, how you position people. Like, all of that had to change in your own mind because everyone else had already been doing that for a few years by the time you got there, right?
Well, Conrad, I want to tell you what's wrong with the business today. That's what's wrong with the business today, by God. Yeah, shit changes. You know, the business evolves and it changes, and it evolves, if you will. But as far as as far as creative and writing for people, no, that doesn't affect it. We don't share with the writers contractual deals with guys as far as monetary and everything like that, because we don't want them to skew it. We don't want, oh, well, this guy's making this much, so we got to write more for him. Don't do that. They don't know. Don't need to know. If you've got an idea for somebody, let's make it the best. Let everybody else deal with that. I
guess what I meant, Bruce, I'm not there, but I would imagine once upon a time, guys would have said, hey, I got to be on every show. I can't miss anything. I mean, don't let
They still
book
do.
me on everything. But I imagine now it's more like, I'm not saying everybody, but I feel like a certain amount of wrestlers are going to say, well, I got this thing going on. Maybe they're not as apt to, I want to be on everything all the time. Now, I'm not saying that exists everywhere, but I have a feeling that exists in pro wrestling. And I'm just wondering, is that something that took some getting used to?
I think it's the opposite, really. I still think that those that, at least those that I work with and experience, most of them are upset if they're not on something.
Right.
And I enjoy that and I appreciate it. And it's usually us that are fighting to make them a little more scarce and not have everybody on everything all the time. So that comes from us more than anything, just trying to protect them and not have people overexposed. So I actually, I'm sure there are some, but I think for the most part, I hear more about, oh my God, I'm not on the show. Why not? I want to be on the show. And explaining to them that, hey, frankly, weekly television in many respects, it's all important, but it's all pretty equal too. You have your premium live events now that are on a pay service, that are on a streaming service that is out there, but it's no different than a rights deal. It's no different than television, and that's just a change in the business, and that's just evolving.
It just feels like once upon a time, like the whole spirit of the locker room would have been based on, because we've always heard like, hey, I got to protect my spot. I don't want to miss any days. I don't want to lose my spot, because it wasn't just about creative, but it was also about income. And the higher up your card you were, the more money you made and that sort of thing. But now I don't think, WrestleMania paydays, whether or not you're on main event or not, is as relative as it once was. Am I way off base? I mean, I know it's still important. You still want to main event WrestleMania, but
Yeah.
It doesn't make or break your year financially, right?
Look, again, man, I'll look at John Cena and say that, John Cena wanted to know every aspect of his career and everything that he did, and wanted to do everything that he could possibly do. I believe that model is the model that makes it. And, but again, different strokes for different folks, and the business evolves and it changes. So you adapt, and you can't compare it. You can't compare it. Those days are gone. They don't exist anymore. It's doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It just doesn't matter. It's the way that it is right now. And we work within the confines of what we have in this day and age. And what we have today will change in a few years, and will be a completely different conversation in many ways. So to me, that's the exciting part. The exciting part is what's next and what can it evolve into, and be able to be along for that journey and that ride, and be able to experience it. That to me is without a doubt the most fun and most exciting aspect of really what I have the privilege of doing. It's pretty cool. So it's all those things. It's like, okay, yeah, that's the way it was. It ain't that way anymore. So doesn't matter how it was. We can reminisce, we can talk about all that shit and all these things, but it's just not that way anymore.
Talk to me about the debut on Fox. That is a huge high watermark for WWE. You guys have had national exposure for a long time on NBC and certainly Fox before with Saturday Night's Main Event. But the idea that you're going to be on broadcast television, not cable, but broadcast television, was a huge deal. And obviously a lot of dollars associated with it. Did that feel like, I know it feels like 100 years ago now, but back in 2019, that had to feel like one of the biggest things in the history of your career. Like, we're on broadcast television. I mean, there's a whole red carpet experience for this. It felt larger than life, didn't it?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was a different realm, but at the same time, it was as if it was coming full circle. You go back to when television first, people had television in their homes. What was the show that was on every week on national television?
Yeah.
Because there was no cable, there was no anything else, but broadcast was the weekly wrestling matches. So it felt like it had come full circle. And I think as the world gets bigger, it gets smaller at the same time. And again, what was big then is just different, is different today. So it just keeps changing. But yeah, it was a big deal. It was a monumental event, and we made it everything that we could. I enjoyed being on Fox, and it was different, and had some wonderful spirited conversations with their standards and practices folks. And yeah. But that is what it is. And we try to police ourselves and move on. But it's I think it was just a full circle moment, and now what's next is going to be next.
Let me ask you about returning, creatively before you went back years and years ago when he was first starting to get hot. We'll call it 2017, maybe. I remember having a conversation with you where we were doing a Q&A, Ask Bruce Anything or something like that here on the podcast. And the question was asked, if you could work with one talent in WWE now, who would you want to work with? And man, Bruce, you didn't hesitate. You just rattled it off. Oh, Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
How excited were you to finally get that opportunity a couple of years later? And was there anybody else that you were kind of surprised? Like, I didn't expect to like working with this person, or I wasn't really familiar with their game, but now that I have, man, I love working with blank. Can you tell us about that?
Well, you be careful what you wish for. No, no, God, man. Ray was challenging, man. I loved it. Very challenging, man. Creative beyond creative. A guy whose mind was somewhere else all the time, and very challenging, and just so much fun, because you could get out there on that plane with him, and then you just started, the absurdity of it all made it so easy, but difficult at the same time, because you're trying to explain to someone that, no, this isn't real. We're in his mind. Nobody else can do that. I enjoyed, loved working with Bray. It was, and frustrated too, man. We had some spirited conversations, great conversations that just was like, no, dude, no, blah, 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 blah. He would just fight. And after a while, you had to let him in, all those personalities, man, they were all in his head, and trying to explain the concept of, no, what you're looking at, you're not looking at a fun house, man. This isn't real. You are now inside Bray's head. And whether that came across or not, that's what it was. And he was a friggin' joy. By God, man, it was incredible. But look, there were just everybody. It was all new, you know. It was all new just to get to know the new younger way of looking at things and what worked and what didn't in this day and age. So thought it was good shit. I can't say, hey, this one in particular or anything like that, but just going back and seeing Brock again, it was like, that was wonderful.
I got to ask you a funny one before we get out of here. Then we'll close on this, and then we'll try to figure out what you want to talk about next week. But do you remember there being, when you first go back in 2019, was there a really out there idea that you had that got poo-pooed on, or maybe there was an out there idea that you remember that you thought, man, this had legs, but everybody just universally shit on it? Was there a really bad idea that in hindsight you think, damn it, what was I thinking? Or it still could have worked, by God.
I'm sure there was, but I can't pinpoint any on it. I think that, there were different times of, throwing out things and everybody going, what the fuck is he talking about? And again, it was a young group of creative minds that, I don't know, with the exception of Vince, that really hadn't, they hadn't dealt with an old fart like me before. And I can get out there. So I can't think of any, but I'm sure there were. I mean, I had plenty of bad ideas, tons of bad ideas, but you forget those and you move on. I mean, it's, you kind of just go, whew, and say next.
Besides Vince, is it fair to say that when you first go back, one of your first buds that you're sort of palling around with was Ed Koski?
Yeah. I mean, look, I knew Ed from the first day he started, and tremendous mind and great guy. So, being able to hang out with Ed, and I pretty much, stayed to myself for the most part, and just kind of looked at the lay of the land. But Kapoor was there before, and loved Dave Kapoor, and it just it's just kind of finding your way, just walking through the minefields and seeing what's out there. But I will say that pretty much every single person, at least every person on the creative team, I think that they were all welcoming, and there was nobody who was like, oh God, I don't want to work with him or anything like that. I think it was contrary. I think that people welcomed it, and that was a nice feeling.
How many people that when you go back would at least acknowledge that they listened to your podcast?
Oh God, a lot. It shocked me.
Yeah.
Shocked the hell out of me. So I was very happy to hear that. But yeah, it was a lot. And chat me up, Bruce. But there was a lot of that. So that pleased me. I was just happy to hear it. It was nice to hear.
Well, we're happy to hear you back on the show. We're so glad you're back. We hope everybody is enjoying your return. We hope that you'll check us out on video too. It's one thing to listen on the RSS, and we greatly appreciate that, but check us out on YouTube. It's a whole better experience if you can actually see the video with this stuff. It's something to wrestle.com. And Bruce, the docket is clear. Everything I had sort of mapped out for your return, we've sort of covered. What do you want to talk about next week? Besides Dave Meltzer, what do you want to talk about next week? What are you in the mood to chat it up?
Let's talk about the evolution. I don't want to talk about Dave Meltzer. I hate talking about Dave Meltzer. However, I do think that the evolution of information, the evolution of the internet and the information age and how it has affected the business overall, I think is an interesting topic. And again, Dave Meltzer is part of that. It just gives him a bigger universe to spread his lies. But to be able to look at how everybody else, but how the user, how the fan base looks at that, and how they now have an opportunity to go onto their computer and get information that wasn't necessarily available prior to probably people watching this never knew a world that they didn't have cell phones and a computer. Well, folks, I do. And it did. It changed the way that the business, how we operated in the business, used it. Some of it was to our detriment, some of it was to our benefit, and being able to analyze both sides of that. And yeah, there'll be a lot of fuck you day Meltzers in that, but at the same time, it's just looking at the evolution of the business and how technology, in many ways, and information became readily available to an audience that had never had it before, and how the audience reacted to it, and then how the industry reacted to it as well.
Well, there you go. That's what we'll try to tackle next week here on the program.
Things like that. You know what I mean?
All righty. Well, we'll
But
do it.
it's a different, the world has changed, and how in every business, how technology has changed that and opened it up to different information.
We're going to do that next week here on the program. In the meantime, we're also going to be posting over on social media, soliciting your questions. If you haven't already, be sure to follow us on Twitter. It's at Prichard Show. That's where you can find the program, and we're going to be looking for your questions there. And right here on YouTube, here at somethingtowrestle.com.
Is it here?
Comment right here. Just hit the button below.
Right.
That's the subscribe button, the like button. Leave us a comment. And Bruce, this was fun, man. I never know what to expect when we sit down and chop it up, but I appreciate all the time today, and I'm ready to do it next week.
Sounds good. I'll be ready too. How's that?
My God, let's do it.
I just shock the fuck out of you, don't I? Every time you turn around.
Every time every time I see your name on my phone, I'm worried. Oh, what happened? But what happened is Bruce is back, by God. Tell a friend, and we'll see you next week right here on Something to Wrestle with Bruce Prichard.
Rock on.
JCW Lunacy. New episodes every Thursday night at 7 p.m. on YouTube. For over 25 years, JCW has delivered the very best in pro wrestling entertainment, bringing fans deep storytelling drama, gut-busting comedy, and unbelievable in-ring action. From wild characters to unforgettable rivalries, don't miss a single moment. Tune in every Thursday night at 7 p.m. on YouTube. JCW Lunacy.